Hi everybody, welcome to Arts Innovation, dealing with Art Tek, technology redesigned. A year and a half ago I did a presentation at ISTE nationally in Philadelphia and hung out with a lot of the folks there and went through their convention center with about 400 different vendors and talked to a lot of them and learned a lot about how they were using all this coding that is being taught in schools all the way down to the second grade. And I was a little surprised that they didn't know anything about the art code, which we've talked about in another session. But I'd like to walk you through some of the possibilities that exist when we add art and music to STEM. So I did this logo you see back there that basically says turn STEM into STEAM, not just STEAM with one M, but STEAM with two. I don't like the fact that they're actually separating or combining music with art and calling it STEAM. It really needs two M's, and there needs to be an understanding of how these three fit together: art, math, and music. So that's my intention here, is to show you how I've done that. So again, we have the basic three icons here: science in the middle, tech on the left, and engineering on the right. And then, of course, what's missing is math. And again, my attitude is that if you got math, you've also got art and music. They're just ignoring it. And I showed a couple guys how that formula worked when I was there, and they were kind of amazed. So let me walk you through some of the things I said to them, starting with Tesla. The reason this works is because Tesla was talking about energy, frequency, and vibration. And you know, when you're dealing with sound, you have to understand what the math of that is. And when you realize that sound travels invisibly through space as geometric shapes, then there's no reason to exclude that and just deal with a bunch of complicated formulas. And those formulas really are responsible for the revolution that has been taking place in the arts. For example, this is one of the first 3D robots I built, and you can kind of see how that works. And again, everything is based on triangles, and then they decided that that was too much processing time to do everything in triangles, so they started doing everything in quads. But if you look at it, every single one of those quads can be split in half, and originally they were doing all triangles, and now they're all quads just to save space. But if you want more detail, you got to put the triangles in. This is kind of fascinating to me because now you can teach kids how to do this at home, and they can export out their files and have them made into 3D objects. This whole maker phenomenon that's been happening over the last few years. Get everybody to design their own toys and presents for other people. So I find that to be really fascinating. It's something that we all should spend a little more time on with our kids because it's one useful way to do it. The unfortunate thing is that there's more and more emphasis on the coding so that people who are not artists can actually create art with codes. Now, to me, that's a problem because it actually uses a different portion of the brain. So we could get into that a little bit more probably in the thinking section or the psychology section. But it is actually not only a fun thing, it can take up an awful lot of time. My concern is, what do you really get out of it? Is it something that you really learned that's going to help you in life, or is it a separate artistic endeavor that has nothing to do with reality? Which brings us to the next slide. 30 years ago, I started designing guitars. The first one I did was actually from a kit of a 8-string bouzouki, which I turned into a 7-string, just because I wanted to experiment with that. I didn't want to tune them in pairs. But I discovered that I was not very skilled at it. I didn't have the right tools, and it's very time consuming. So what happened was I learned a lot, though, about how to put the frets, where to put them, and why you put them there, which a lot of people don't understand, that that's really the secret of the sounds. So then over the years I started developing more sophisticated things with other materials. I found a luthier who would build my designs in metal and went through several of those. I've done about a dozen, maybe 50. I've done a dozen necks and 3 guitars, so full guitars, and these are all metal. And it was an interesting experience to find out when you design something, it doesn't necessarily mean it can be made. And depending upon who's making it, they will make it a different way. Fortunately, I was able to work with this guy who I never met. We'd done everything online. It was fascinating to be able to do this. But what I learned through the whole thing was how to refine the design. And again, I wasn't designing it to sell guitars. I was designing it to make different sounds that a regular guitar will not make. It was just something I wanted to understand. And so my latest one, which I just got last year, is this one. It's a beautiful thing, and it sounds amazing. And I'll be putting up some other YouTubes about what this is, why it sounds the way it does, and not only that, but how it's constructed quite differently than most guitars. It's basically one of a kind. So again, all the serious stuff that we go into can be a little daunting, especially when you get into the mathematics of music and the mathematics of building an instrument to make specific kinds of music. So I've added some characters to this subject as well, specifically the STEM monkeys. I've got a different monkey for each one of the subjects: science, tech, engineering, and math. And then of course I'll add some other characters, myself included. Again, the whole point is to get people doing coding to understand what the art code is, how it connects to music, and including art and music in STEM. And of course, in addition to the monkeys, we've got to have some STEM rats. Rats are experimented on in almost every subject matter, so it gives us a chance to put a little humor into some otherwise strange experiments that people are doing. And sometimes I've always felt like I was just another lab rat to somebody else's contrivance. So it gives a chance to add a lot of humor to some pretty serious subjects. And not only that, but I think that to some degree, I've learned these two characters, rats and monkeys, just because people call each other that. I mean, they call each other that because of their behaviors. Another one is squirrel, squirrely behavior. So you kind of get the idea of how we can take these serious subjects, create our own characters, both in 3D and 2D, and adapt them to almost any subject that we're involved in. Thanks again. See you next time.